Hey guys, Whitney here, and welcome to TEFLPros. On today's call, I sat down with Marc, one of our recent grads. And now Marc's story is pretty interesting. He was actually already teaching and living overseas in Japan when he decided to get TEFL certified. So if Japan is on your wish list for traveling and teaching abroad, sit back, relax, and enjoy hearing about Marc's experience on the TEFLPros Plus course. Hey, Marc.
Hey,
How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks for taking some time out of your busy schedule and hopping on one of these calls.
No problem, anytime.
And let me first say congratulations on graduating from the course.
Thank you.
All right, so we're just going to sit down, have a brief discussion on your experience, and just see if we can share a bit about any advice that might be helpful to other people jumping into their TEFL. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So if you could, Marc, your situation is a little bit unique. So I would love it if you could just give people a little bit of background as to what position you were in when you decided to get TEFL certified.
Okay. Well, I am currently in the JET program teaching English in Japan for about 3 years now, and I decided to take this course to get my TOEFL certification, just so I can have like a better understanding on how to teach English, because my major in college was in kinesiology, and it wasn't on teaching English as a foreign language. And I did have teaching experience beforehand, but it was more of a one-to-one situation in with kids with special needs and as a substitute teacher, but never as like the full teacher planning lesson plans for the kids. So I took this course just so I could have kind of the tools to kind of figure out how to plan a lesson and how to teach as well.
Okay, so you were already in the trenches, as we would say.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
And could you speak to that a little bit more, Marc? Like, what were some of the challenges that you were facing having already, jumped into that classroom teaching experience?
Yeah. One challenge is not having, I never really planned a lesson plan before. So it's not knowing how to structure a lesson plan, not knowing how much time an activity should do, progressing how you teach kids how to write, in English was very difficult. I was very much like winging it throughout the whole thing, and most of it, sometimes it worked well, other times it didn't work well, and not having kind of like the knowledge to reevaluate myself, I was going the same cycle over and over again, making the same mistakes over and over again, and I felt like stuck. I was stuck with like what I had already, and I feel like I need to take a course to kind of, improve my teaching abilities and improve my knowledge on how to do my job better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I would love it if you could just share. I feel like sometimes people hop into these positions, Marc, and maybe they have the thought that their school is going to offer them a great deal of support. So if a TEFL isn't required in that environment, like, okay, the school is going to make up for it. So I know throughout your time on the course, we have had some interaction about like your
Yes.
textbooks and teaching staff and, or lead teaching staff, I should say. So what was that like prior to getting into your TEFL? Like, did you have a lot of support or not?
Well, with teaching in Japan, I actually teach at a junior high school, so I don't teach like an adult school outside. So I teach like junior high school age, and I work with a teacher who teaches English. And every teacher has a different teaching style, so it was very much you have to adapt to their teaching style. One teacher will use me as like a tape recorder, so I'll read a passage out and the kids will copy me. Other teachers will give me like 20 minutes to plan an activity, and one of my other teachers will give me the whole class just to do activities or a lesson plan based on that grammar point. So it's very much like depending on the teacher. Right now, the teachers I work with, they give me the full class time to kind of prepare for the whole lesson. And they give me a lot of freedom where to say like, I just want you to plan and that for this grammar point, and that's it. That's what they leave me with. They don't tell me if it's writing, reading, listening, or what am I missing? Speaking. I have to, make that initiative to figure out which one. And before this, I actually combined all four in one lesson. And looking back now, that was a mess. That was a mess on me, on the kids, on the teacher who was like, yeah. So, and when I asked for like feedback, I was like, is that lesson good? They'd be like, yeah, it was good, but like nothing else. They didn't tell me which activity worked, why it worked, or why it didn't work. So it was very much I had to be my own, evaluator and figure out what activity worked and why didn't it. If I make a major mistake, like if I teach the or like if my activity doesn't match with the grammar, they will tell me. But that's pretty much it for like the support wise. And with my situation at least.
Okay. Yeah. And I think that that's a common situation to find yourself in, that, I mean, schools are often stressed. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just a part of the world that we live in, where it's like people have their job and they got to get it done. And the management staff, they might not have the bandwidth to really sit with every teacher and help onboard them and mentor them carefully through that process. So, I think that perhaps what you went through is a common experience for a lot of people. So then once you got into our TEFL course, how did things start to change, or what did you experience as you were going through that process, Marc?
Well, the first 4 lessons of your TOEFL course was very helpful with like lesson plan structure. So instead of like cramming in 4 speaking, writing, reading, and listening in one lesson, I know now, separating it out. This one's for speaking, this one's for reading, depending on what my teacher asked for me. So that was very much helpful, streamlining my lesson plans, and I think it helps with the kids as well, where like they're not trying to juggle all 4 at once, where they can just focus on one, which was very nice for them as well. And I noticed very much my kids were more focused and like more engaged after like my lesson plans were more streamlined, because I think they figured out, oh, we're just focusing on this one aspect rather than, oh, I have to speak, then I have to write, then I have to listen again, which was, I think, overwhelming for them a lot. And also like learning about where to stand for like in the teaching. Most of the time I would just walk constantly when like the kids are in mingling, and I learned like you should just stand in one place, listen for a while, then move to another place and listen to kind of gather their conversation. I'll be just walking, and I'll just miss the conversation. So I learned a lot of things, just like these minor things that might not seem a lot, but like definitely adds up to like making your lesson plan so much better in like the long run.
Yeah, and when I listen to you speak, Marc, it really reminds me of the different roles that teachers play, which we talk about a bit at the opening of the course. And that speaks to being a facilitator, and just learning how to be a facilitator in that classroom environment. So I'm glad that was helpful for you, because often as teachers, maybe we go into the position thinking, I need to instruct. I'm the instructor. I need to do certain things, position myself in certain ways. And then it's like, oh, actually, if you can learn how to facilitate it and then monitor properly, it makes everyone's life a lot easier in the class.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So any advice that you might have for folks interested? You know, they might watch this and think, wow, Mark's teaching in Japan. I've always wanted to go and live in Japan. What advice would you give folks in that position?
For people, definitely find a. I I got into the Japan through the JET program, which I it's a very what do you call it, competitive program to get into. So I definitely do your research on the programs and like the companies you're applying to. What are they looking for? Do they need a TEFL? What kind of requirements do they want? The JET program doesn't need a TEFL, but I think it will help if you have certifications and teaching experience to apply and to get into it. It also will help you in the long run as well, where like if you get in, you'll know what to do. Because when I first came here, I was relying on what I knew from what I learned when I was a student, watching the teachers. But it's a total different job. Like student and teachers, totally different jobs. So yeah, I definitely recommend taking a TEFL class just to get that foundational. And when you're applying for the program, one of the interview questions would be if you could plan a lesson for a junior high school student about American culture, what's your lesson plan? And that's a popular question they will ask you to give like an example lesson plan. And if you have already the kind of the background or like the outline of a lesson, it will definitely help you with that. In teaching in Japan, I recommend you have to take initiative first. The teachers here are very busy with clubs, homerooms, other things as well. So you have to be the one to ask the teachers, what lessons can I help you with? Um, what can I do to help you? And also communicate back of like, this is what I'm planning to do. How is it? Like, is this lesson plan, does it look okay? You have to take the initiative to talk to them because sometimes they will not even talk to you. And I recommend for when you first come here, just sit back and observe how they teach English in their regular classes and what is the structure. I think once you understand how they teach English here, you can figure out how you can help them through your lessons as well. Because I learned is quite different from how America teaches a foreign language to Japan, how Japan teaches English. It's quite different mentalities, a different structure as well. So don't be like, you can be gung ho, but don't try to um, change something that you don't know yet. You know, just sit back and observe for a while to see how things work.
That is
Yeah.
such wonderful advice, Mark. Yeah, it puts yourself in a difficult position if you try to go into a new culture or a new environment and like, hey, I know
Yeah.
how to do this better than you, right? It's
Yeah.
always better to do what you're saying. Sit back, observe, be a learner first, and
Yes.
then implement. Yeah,
Yes.
awesome. Thank you so much, Mark. It's been a
Thank you.
pleasure chatting with you again.
Thank you. Thank you for all your help.
You're very welcome.